Chocolate is scrunchy.
One of the old-time greats.
People have been eating chocolate as early as 1750 BC. In fact, ancient humans were so fond of chocolate that they were using it as medicine and even in religious rituals. Today, this delicacy is available everywhere on the planet, with companies shipping out as much as 3 million tons of it every year. So how do they do it? Our journey starts all the way in Africa, previously home to the Mayans, who were the first people to discover the secrets of the cacao tree. But it had less to do with their detective abilities than their geographical location. You see, the cacao tree needs incredibly specific conditions to grow, like a temperature of 25 degrees and a humidity of 80% or above, conditions only met by certain locations along the equator of the Earth, one of which the Mayans occupied. To this day, a majority of the world's cacao supply comes from this region. And the way cacao is harvested hasn't changed much since the age of the Mayans either. This is mainly because cacao trees are incredibly delicate and the cacao pods don't just simply fall to the ground. For this reason, they're cut off manually, one by one. This can be grueling work, and it doesn't get much easier later on, because the beans need to be taken out manually as well. This means each worker has to sit down and channel their inner fruit ninja to secure the beans, which at this point are covered by a sticky white pulp. If you think that doesn't look anything like chocolate, you'd be right. The cacao beans have yet to go through a crucial process to their look and smell. The beans and the pulp are placed in special fermentation boxes covered by banana leaves, where they're kept for 3 to 9 days. This process is important because not only does it kill bacteria and get rid of the white pulp, but also gives the beans their signature brown color and taste. The fermented beans are ready to be placed in the sun for drying. This is mainly done to remove moisture and to inhibit the growth of fungi, bacteria, or mold, but it has the added benefit of developing the flavor of the beans. Once this is done, the beans are ready for their journey to factories across the world. After they arrive at the factory, the beans are inspected by a team of quality assurance officers. This process consists of cutting the beans to ensure they're the right color and have the required consistency. Once they're approved by the QA team, the beans are off to a specialized processing plant where they're roasted, first on screens and then in revolving cylinders through which heated air is blown. Over a period of 30 minutes to 2 hours, the moisture in the beans is reduced from about 7% to about 1%. The roasting process also triggers a browning reaction, in which more than 300 different chemicals present in the cacao beans interact. The beans now begin to develop the rich flavor we associate with chocolate. Now that the roasting is done, the cacao meat or nib should separate easily from the shell, which is called the husk. Industries do this in a machine called the winnower. Inside the machine, vibrating shelves separate the nibs from the husks, which are then blown away by a fan, leaving the precious nibs ready for the next stage. The nibs are then ground into a deep, dark brown paste. And this is where things begin to really kick into gear. The process changes the composition of the chocolate so that it comes out of the grinder looking like a really thick syrup. This syrup actually smells a lot like alcohol and so is called chocolate liquor. If the purpose is to make cocoa powder, the liquor may be treated with an alkaline solution. What this does is darkens the color of the cocoa, rendering its flavor milder while also reducing the tendency of the nibs to form clumps. The alkaline chocolate liquor is now defatted as large amounts of fat or chocolate butter are removed from it. The resulting solid material, commonly called press cake, is then broken, chopped, or crushed before being sifted to produce cocoa powder. You remember the removed cocoa butter from before? Well, it's not a throwaway item, but a crucial component in creating chocolate candy. It's mixed with chocolate liquor in a process called conching, which gives the chocolate its smooth texture and consistency. Other items like powdered milk, sugar, or vanilla may be added depending on the type of chocolate that's being made. The practice was actually coined by the Swiss chocolatier Daniel Peter in 1875, when he invented milk chocolate by mixing a powdered milk developed by Henry Nestle with the liquor. Now that the texture is there, it's time to give the chocolate its patented snap. This is done through a process called tempering, in which the chocolate is slowly heated and cooled. What this does is alter the crystals within, giving the chocolate a uniform composition throughout. Once the chocolate is tempered, it's ready to be poured into molds to make bars of chocolate. A final check is done to ensure there are no air bubbles and the chocolate is pristine. It's then wrapped in foil or paper packaging to keep it fresh. These chocolate bars may look small, but the industry makes up to $50 billion a year. If you make that many chocolate bars, you probably need a lot of aluminum foil to wrap them. Click here to see the amazing way aluminum foil is made. In 1898, several baking companies merged to form the National Baking Company, also called Nabisco. This was the birth of the organization that would eventually create the Oreo cookie. Today, Oreo cookies are produced at factories in 18 countries all over the world. These factories help produce a whopping 40 billion cookies per year. So, how do they do it? For Oreo cookies, hand making isn't an option, since the sheer amount each factory has to produce is impossible to do by hand. For this purpose, the Oreo factory is full of heavy-duty machinery equipped to churn out more than 1 billion cookies each year. The main ingredients essential to the cookie-making process are flour, sugar, cocoa powder, vegetable oil, leavening agents such as baking soda and baking powder, salt, flavorings, and vanilla cream filling. These are sourced from different producers and are approved by a quality control team after they arrive at the factory. The next step is preparing the batter. A worker unloads heaps of sugar into an industrial-grade mixer. Next, he adds 2 kinds of cocoa. Both types are processed beforehand to make them milder and smoother. The cocoa gives the Oreo cookies their signature look and taste. A premix of salt and other ingredients follows. A specially formulated canola oil mixture will help these dry ingredients form into a batter as huge beaters blend everything together. Water is added and the batter starts to look like a bubbling chocolate mixture. Then, dry ice is added to lower the mixture's temperature. This is important because when flour is added, the dough will turn out to be less crumbly than it would have been if it was kept at room temperature. A premix of leavening ingredients goes in next. One final mix and the chocolate dough is ready to go. The workers then shovel the cookie dough into a grate and press them through the grate into a molding machine. This helps portion the large clumps of cookie dough into individual pieces that are crucial for the molding process. The molding machine then forms the dough into biscuit shapes. It also has the intricate design and logo engraved into a roller that presses it onto the cookies. This machine churns out an impressive 5,000 cookies every hour. For the baking part of the process, the cookies move from a silicone conveyor onto a steel one. This is because the excellent thermal properties of the belt deliver efficient baking and a crisp, attractive base, while the hard, smooth surface ensures easy, clean product release. The cookies then travel through an 85-meter-long industrial-grade oven for several minutes and receive an even baking. While the cookies are being cooled, the vanilla cream filling is prepared. The filling is made from a mixture of powdered sugar, vegetable shortening, vanilla flavoring, and sometimes other ingredients to achieve a desired taste and texture. Once the vanilla filling is prepared, it is loaded onto a pump. The pump is a device that allows controlled and precise dispensing of the filling. The filling is poured into a hopper or container attached to the pump. On the other side, once the cookies are cooled to the desired crispness, they are ready for assembly. They move to another conveyor, which feeds into a series of chutes. The biscuits travel over ramps designed to make them fall into a certain orientation. One side lands plain side up, while the other one lands with the engraved side up. This puts them in the correct position for the all-important cream filling. A cylindrical pump deposits the vanilla filling onto the plain side of the biscuits. These biscuits then travel to a station where machinery presses the top biscuit onto the bottom one. Once the cookies have been assembled, mechanical fingers separate them into bunches. Then grippers swing into action and move each bunch forward and then release it into plastic trays. The entire cookie-making process takes about 90 minutes, churning out 3,000 cookies every minute. The trays, now full of biscuits, move on to the quality control station. At the QC station, the Oreo cookies undergo quality control checks to ensure they meet the company's standards. Once approved, they are packaged into larger boxes or containers and shipped to distribution centers, where they are then sent to retailers for sale. This iconic cookie is available in more than 100 countries around the globe, and approximately 34 billion are sold each year. If the whole process has you craving something sweet, don't worry, we've got your back. Check out our video on how chocolate is made.